Success isn't glamorous. Success isn't flashy. Success is boring. And that's exactly why it works. When people dream about success, they imagine the highlight reel. The cars, the applause, the freedom, the lifestyle. But what they don't see is the grind behind the scenes, the repetition, the monotony, the boring routines that no one claps for. Everyone wants success, but very few are willing to live with its boring side. Why? Because we've been conditioned to chase excitement, to look for shortcuts, hacks, instant results. But the truth is this: greatness doesn't come from excitement. It comes from consistency, from doing the same things over and over, long after the feeling is gone. Success is built in boring. Think about it. The athlete doesn't become great from one big game. He becomes great from years of boring practice drills that no one sees. The author doesn't finish a book in one burst of inspiration. She finishes it by writing 1 page a day, even when she doesn't feel like it. The entrepreneur doesn't build a company from one lucky idea. He builds it by showing up every day, handling emails, calls, meetings, numbers, boring stuff that compounds into success. Success is not about one big moment. It's about thousands of boring moments stacked on top of each other until the world calls it greatness. Most people don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they can't handle boredom. They start strong, full of excitement. They hit the gym, launch the business, set the goal. But when it gets boring, when the motivation fades, they quit. The truth is, motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. And discipline is forged in boredom. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, said, "The greatest threat to success is not failure, but boredom." It's not the struggle that stops people. It's the monotony. You've been told, follow your passion, and you'll never work a day in your life. That's a lie. Even when you love what you do, there will be days you don't feel like doing it. Days it feels dull. Days it feels heavy. But champions don't let boredom decide their future. They work through it. They embrace it. They realize that passion doesn't eliminate boredom. It gives you a reason to push through it. Kobe Bryant didn't love every 4 a.m. workout. Serena Williams didn't love every training session. Steve Jobs didn't love every meeting. But they loved their vision enough to endure the boring parts. The compounding power of boring. This is the secret. Boring habits compound. Reading 10 pages a day becomes 3,650 pages a year. That's 12 to 15 books. Saving $10 a day becomes $3,650 a year. That's the foundation of wealth. Exercising 30 minutes a day becomes thousands of hours of health and strength over a decade. None of these are exciting. None of them go viral on social media. But they build empires. Albert Einstein called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. The same principle applies to your habits. Boring actions, repeated consistently, compound into extraordinary results. Why boring is beautiful. Boring isn't the enemy of success, it's the proof of it. If your routine feels boring, it means you're building consistency. And consistency is the foundation of everything. That's why so many people stay stuck. They chase excitement, but excitement doesn't build anything. Success is boring, but boring works. Champions don't win because they're the most talented. They win because they master the boring. Most people love the idea of success. They crave the spotlight, the applause, the results. But the truth is, success is rarely exciting. It's not the big moments that separate winners from losers. It's the daily boring habits that no one sees. Waking up consistently. Successful people don't rely on motivation to get out of bed. They rely on discipline. It's boring to wake up early every day. It's boring to follow the same routine. But those extra hours compound. They give clarity, focus, and time to create. Benjamin Franklin said, "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Boring? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. Practicing repetition. Greatness is built on repetition. Michael Jordan didn't become the greatest by inventing new moves every day. He became great by practicing the same shots, the same drills, the same footwork thousands of times. Repetition is boring, but it turns skill into instinct. Bruce Lee said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." That's the power of boring repetition. Managing money wisely. Building wealth isn't glamorous. It's not about lottery wins or flashy investments. It's about budgeting, saving, and investing consistently. Warren Buffett didn't become one of the richest men on earth through excitement. He became wealthy by mastering boring principles: patience, discipline, long-term thinking. Most people want quick wins. The wealthy understand boring compounding. Sticking to daily routines. Routines are boring, but routines eliminate chaos. They free your mind to focus on what matters. Steve Jobs wore the same black turtleneck daily, not because he lacked style, but because he understood that decision fatigue kills focus. A simple routine gave him energy for big decisions. Success requires boring systems that protect your energy. The boring habit of tracking progress. Most people hate tracking. It feels tedious. Counting calories, recording workouts, logging expenses, writing down goals. But what gets measured gets managed. And what gets managed improves. Winners don't guess, they track. That's why their boring little numbers add up to massive success. The boring habit of discipline in choices. Success isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the small choices. Choosing water over soda. Choosing to save instead of spend. Choosing to read instead of scroll. Individually, these choices feel boring. But together, they create transformation. Jim Rohn said, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day." The boring habit of saying no. Success isn't about doing everything. It's about cutting almost everything. Saying no to distractions, temptations, toxic people, wasted time. Warren Buffett said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." Saying no isn't exciting, but it's what creates the space for greatness. The boring habit of patience. Waiting, grinding, building, without immediate reward. That's boring, but it's how wealth, health, and mastery are built. The oak tree doesn't grow overnight. Neither does your destiny. Patience feels boring, but patience is power. Why these habits work? Individually, these habits don't look like much. They're not exciting, they don't impress anyone, and they won't make headlines. But stacked together, day after day, year after year, they create greatness. The world crowns the champion in public, but the crown was earned in boring private habits long before. Most people fail not because they can't succeed, but because they can't handle boredom. Let's be honest, boring feels hard. It feels endless. It feels dull. That's why most people abandon it. They want the thrill of starting something new, but they don't want the grind of repeating it daily. They want the excitement of a big dream, but not the slow, steady habits that make it real. That's why gyms are full in January and empty in March. That's why businesses launch with passion but fade with excuses. That's why most goals die, not from failure, but from boredom. Why boring breaks people. Here's why people quit when it gets boring. They confuse boredom with failure. If it's not exciting, They think it's not working. But in truth, boring means it's working. It's becoming routine. They chase dopamine instead of results. Scrolling, binge-watching, distractions. These give quick hits of excitement. But they rob you of consistency. They don't trust the process. They want results now. If results don't come fast, they quit. They don't realize that boring, steady effort is what compounds into transformation. Champions think differently. The difference between losers and winners is simple. Winners embrace boring. Kobe Bryant shot thousands of free throws long after practice was over. Tom Brady studied tape for hours long after his teammates left. Serena Williams practiced the same swings until perfection was boring. Champions don't run from boring, they master it. If you want success, you have to reframe boring. Instead of seeing it as dull, see it as progress. Every boring repetition is a brick in the foundation of your future. Every dull habit is a seed that will bear fruit in time. Every monotonous day is proof that you're committed. The power of monotony. Most people don't understand this. Success is not about intensity. It's about consistency. Anyone can work hard for one day. Anyone can grind for 1 week. But can you do it every day, for years, without applause, without excitement, without instant reward? That's what separates greatness from mediocrity. Why boring is freedom. Here's the irony. Boring routines set you free. The boring habit of budgeting frees you from financial stress. The boring habit of eating healthy frees you from sickness. The boring habit of exercise frees you from weakness. The boring habit of learning frees you from ignorance. What feels boring today creates freedom tomorrow. The secret champions know. The secret is this: if it's boring, you're probably on the right track. Boring means consistency. Boring means structure. Boring means discipline. And discipline is destiny. And remember, boring isn't your enemy. Boring is your proof that success is being built. Let's strip it all down. Success isn't built in hype. It isn't built in excitement. It isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows. In the lonely, repetitive, boring grind that no one celebrates. It's built when you wake up early, even when no one notices. It's built when you practice the same drill, even when no one claps. It's built when you choose discipline over distraction, day after day. Success is boring, but boring is what works. If your routine feels boring, that's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of progress. It means your actions are consistent. It means your habits are becoming who you are. It means you're building momentum. Most people fail because they run from boring. But the champions you admire? They embraced it. They understood that boring repetition is the soil where greatness grows. The pain of quitting versus the reward of enduring. If you quit because it's boring, you'll never see the harvest. You'll always be starting over, always chasing excitement, always stuck. But if you endure the boring, you'll unlock the extraordinary. That boring workout becomes the body you dream of. That boring budget becomes the wealth you desire. That boring practice becomes the mastery people admire. So this is my challenge to you. Stop running from boring. Start embracing it. The next time you feel bored in your discipline, remind yourself, that's success being built. That's greatness being forged. Don't quit when it gets boring. Double down. Push harder. Stay consistent. Because boring is not the enemy of success. Boring is the birthplace of it. Success is boring, but that's why it works. So stop chasing excitement. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop running from monotony. Embrace the boring. Master it. Because the life you dream of, the freedom, the wealth, the impact, it won't come from excitement. It will come from boring, consistent, disciplined action. And one day, when the world finally applauds you, you'll know the truth. The boring made it possible. If this message is speaking to you, don't forget to subscribe to The Balanced Beat for more life-changing wisdom and powerful motivation. Hit that like button to support the channel and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. We're building something meaningful here, and your support means everything.